Okay, let's start the KubeBuilder triage meeting. Today it's 9th of February 2021. Please don't say nothing that you felt not comfortable to be in the internet in the posterity. The first one, it's an issue that Eric reopened. I made a comment. I understood that it's missing. We build another archetype of the tool, but maybe Eric, would you like to explain yourself?
Yeah. So this particular issue is requesting multiple architectures supported by KubeBuilder, which is currently the case. But what never happened was multiple architectures being supported for the mtest binaries, which KubeBuilder depends on. So if you download the ARM64 Linux binary of KubeBuilder and you create a new project and you run like make test, it'll fail because it won't be able to download mtest for your architecture for ARM64. So I reopened this and submitted a PR to the tools releases branch that it's gotten a few reviews already and should be merged soon.
I get you. So for me, it shows perfect fine. We can put it 3.1 unless someone has an objection.
I would argue that this should be done.
Yeah.
Well, it should probably be done before we cut 3.0 stable.
Actually, it doesn't really matter because it's in the other branch, isn't it?
Yes, I think it next to me.
It is, but if you if we release 3.0 stable and somebody downloads the binary for ARM and tries to start a project locally, they won't be able to because the appropriate binaries don't exist.
But do you think would be a blocker for the 3.0 release?
Yes.
My comment was, if we release 3.0 right now and we later create the binaries, will they be able to do that? Will they be able to test? I mean, it's only creating the mtest, so those are being downloaded when you run the make test target. So I don't think it really affects the release, but yeah, I think it will be merged really soon. So I don't think that will be a problem.
Yeah, you're right. These could be created after the release. They are not strictly linked, but the test makefile target is a dependency of the Docker build target. So basically, they would have a broken makefile and couldn't build their operator image without these binaries present. Anyway, yeah, it'll probably be merged before 3.0.0. So I would put it in that milestone.
I think it's okay. We put in 3.0, and if we came that always done for the release, we can just move this one for the next one. Has no problem at all. I believe we know. So would be fine. The other one would be accepted. I think you told you that it has the pull request already. I think it is one, so that's fine. So this one is from Adilio. Adilio is here. Would you like to describe? Adilio?
Sorry, I was muted. Which one was that?
This one is allow every command to overwrite the AP.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think it was a couple meetings ago, or talking with someone in private. I'm not sure, but we said that it would be interesting to be able to override the plugins that is defined in the layout in the project configuration file for a certain command. For example, I have 3 controllers and only one of them is using the declarative pattern. When I'm able to add a plugin to have this declarative pattern, I don't want it to have for the whole project because only one of the controllers follows that approach. So I only want to use it for the create AP command for that one, for that specific one. So the idea was to be able to, if you provide the plugins flag when you are doing a create AP command, it will override the one that is configured in the project file, in the one that you specify that in it, and will only be valid for that project, for that command call.
I put here the example that you put. So let's see if I understand. So if, for example, I use a KubeBuilder create API, let's forget it is one, but it put just the extra. So I would use the extra plugin to do the command. Is that?
Only for that one, yes.
Yeah.
The next one, the next KubeBuilder create API will not use the extra plugin, only that one that is specifying.
That one. Okay. Yeah, I put here some questions like you answered.
Yeah.
Okay. You are
That
fast.
has been recently, yeah. So
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, my questions, I will make it, I don't know if you wanted to speak about that, but my question was like, would Kubernetes be part of the phase 2 plugin, the first
I,
one?
I'm not sure because phase 2 was a bit generic, or because we wanted in phase 2 we wanted to include like binaries, plugins as binaries, and that's a pretty ambitious goal right now. And I think it was a bit like hold or post because of that, and that's the reason that I also raised another phase that I called phase 1.5 that has had some reviews already, a couple. And the idea is to make the phase 2 in 2 steps instead of one. The phase 1.5 will be enabling chaining plugins, and this issue is not talking about the chain of plugins. It's talking only that for a certain command, I'm able to override the plugins for that command. It doesn't matter if it's only one or if it's multiple of them. Uh, this issue, I think, no, there's no pull request that solves this issue already, but I don't think it will be that hard.
So when you say override, it's like I put create API with another command, would you use the logic? For example, we have the Go v3 to create API that has the sub commands to create the API, T sub commands. So if we use another plugin here, like let's imagine Helm, would you use the create API from Helm and not from the plugin in the project file in the full layout?
In this case, it will use the ones that are defined in that create API plugins flag. If you set them both, well, it will use both. If you only set one, it will only use that one. The idea is that this issue is only about overriding for this command. The chaining of plugins is the topic that is being handled in the other pull request in phase 1.5. I think we shouldn't mix those two topics. I don't know if I was clear enough or.
And overriding with the flag is very common of CLIs. So it makes logical sense that if I pass in plugin, I want you to use what I've specified here.
Yeah, that's the basic idea.
Yeah.
I mean, you do KubeBuilder init with some plugins, and those will be used by default. But if you specify some plugins, I want you to use those ones
Yep.
for this case.
My problem only with that is like problem not my concern actually this is the best word is like for example how we initialize a project with the Golang layout. Then I use the Helm plugin to create API, for example. So how we can ensure that one thing is compatible with another.
Do you have to?
Oh, you have to trust the user.
Yes. In this case, I can't, hide the sharp edges. You told me to do something, and I'm doing exactly what you told me. The fact that you told me to jump off a bridge and it's dangerous. Uh,
And then what is the scenario that we have now that justify we do that? Because how many complex options that we, for example, let's see if I can explain my idea. How many complex options that we allow the user to do, more hard is for us to provide a guidance and to help them when it has problems or create helpers and toolings that solve common issues. Because if they can do, if we open too much the scope, it's hard to ensure. And how
I
will
think,
you test these scenarios? One plugin with another in the CI to ensure that nothing is broke.
yeah, but chaining plugins is, I mean, you are overriding the plugin, so obviously you have to trust the user and that he knows what he's doing. But the same thing that when you provide a force flag or something like that, you have to trust the user that he knows what he's doing. And if you are trying to scaffold an API with the Helm one and another one with the Ansible one and another one with the base plugin, and they are not compatible, I mean, the user told you to do that. He will know what to do to make them work together, or it won't be the default behavior. The user is specifically telling you, I want you to use these plugins for this case, so he knows what he's doing, or he should know what he's doing.
Okay, but then we will add this complexity. Let's see, let's imagine that we say we don't need to ensure that we don't need to use the CI to ensure a matrix with one compatible with another. But this scenario, what's the problem that we have now that would be solved like with that? Like, what is
Right now,
the use
the thing
case?
is that right now we don't have that many plugins because plugins cannot be chained. So basically we only have the base plugins and the one that operator SDK offers that are like wrappers around the base plugins. But when we do enable chaining plugins, we will have certain things. For example, imagine the declarative add-on that we have right now. It's not in the as a plugin right now. Well, it's as an old plugin, no? It changed two files, and there's a couple test data projects that use that pattern, the add-on pattern. They are making a couple changes over the base plugin, and that will be when plugins are able to be chained, they will be separate plugins. So, for example, if I only want to use that for one controller and not for the rest, I think that's a valid use case, and the user should be able to do that. I don't know.
For
I think that,
the partner one that we have in the KubeBuilder, that other
yeah,
partner
yeah.
too.
That right now it's not a plugin as we know them. It's an old system plugin, but it will be a plugin someday when phase 1.5 is merged, probably. One of the things that the other issue, the enhancement proposal for phase 1.5, actually implements the add-on pattern as a plugin to test that we are able to chain plugins and we obtain what we want.
Okay. So, but for that one, the partner one, do you really need allow anything like that, or we could, for example, just allow one plugin? Could we like what I'm trying to say is it's possible we reduce the scope, like make this less generic. Science you have been working with that,
So,
I believe.
Camilla, is your worry that if I pass in the plugins flag and I have plugin A, comma plugin B, and B is not compatible with A, is that the concern, or is it more the concern that if I pass in B, but I've already scaffolded it with A, then
Yeah,
that B is not compatible after the word?
my concern is how we, because, okay, if we allow that, we need to find a way to track the information that the action X was made in with another plugin, not with the default plugin, because now this is one point. Because
Oh,
how we can recreate the all stuff from the config without
I see
that.
what you mean. I see what you mean. You mean that when you create an AP with a different set of plugins, you have to store that information somehow in the project config file so that when we recreate the plugin from a config file, you know that you have to use those plugins for that certain AP.
And therefore, we are able to troubleshoot as well. For example, in a
Yeah,
user
or
opening issue, I tried this and this, and now my project is not working. And it's not
yeah,
always, they don't give the steps to reproduce everything always. Sometimes they do the things and they don't know exactly what was the step that make the project stop to work. So how will you know that it was a combination of other plugins, that it
mhm,
causes some strange scaffold that is not compatible at all. Uh, this is one concern. The other one is like, for example, I have A, B, C. Then A requires input A, the B requires input B, and the C requires the input D. How will you ensure that the all inputs was done properly before run the three plugins,
yeah.
the three commands?
Okay, related to the first concern, we will probably have to store that information in the config file. So we will probably require, it will probably be for a version 4 plugin with a version 4 config file. Probably we will need another field that says the plugins in case they are not the default ones. And for the second concern, the one that validates the input for each plugin that we are chaining, that's not related with this issue in particular, but with the one that enables chaining plugins, because that's a concern that has to be risen for every plugin chain. I mean, it doesn't matter if we do it for only for a create API or if we do for the whole project. And the phase 1.5 um, implement some different hooks, and some of them are to validate the resource or the config file that they receive, and they can error out. And if they give an error in that sense, it means that they are not compatible, and it will stop the command.
Okay, but this change doesn't allow, for example, I call three plugins, three create APIs for different three plugins. Just allow us override the implementation that you use. The idea now is just override. Instead of using, for example, what I'm trying to say is, instead I use the create API from Cheese plugin, I will use it from Cheese plugin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Imagine that in the second one, in the create API, there's only one. There's only the extra one.
just one. Yeah,
And
okay. Yeah, just because if the other concern was like, if we can do a chain, like do A first, then B. If A has a group as input and B has a group as input,
yeah,
we will ask it twice, or
that,
you know,
that's a concern that I had to resolve for 1.5. That 1.5 does have an implementation, and the only solution is the common ones need to be provided by the CLI itself. The resource is created by the group, domain, and kind and version flags are not added by a plugin, but by the CLI itself. The CLI creates the resource, and the resource is passed to each of the plugins instead of being one of the plugins, the one that creates the resource. But as we are telling, that's a concern from the chaining of plugins. That's not from this point of view.
Yeah, yeah, because this I spoke it like would it be possible like reduce the scope like we can just use one plugin here like it is maybe reduce
It was
some
as an example, yeah.
complexity, yeah, reduce some complexities, do you know, make it easier, do you know, solve just the scenario that we have now, the partner one, and do you know, stuff
I can
like
change the example to consider only the pattern one. It's not, that's not the issue of this pull request. That's obviously an issue, but that's an issue from the other pull request, from the chaining one. I will change the example to have only one over there. Which is the number of issue of that one? 941. Okay, 1941.
So I didn't know if I got now the partner one that just to clarify for the others as well. We have a add-on plugin, and to see if I understood it properly too. We have it is add-on plugin. If the user decide to use the add-on partner, the controller is scaffolded with another logic, another data. So one of the things that we need to do is like make this be a actual plugin after the plugin design added in the project, because this is a old code in the plugin section that is not really the plugin now in the current design. So I understand that this one of the things that this could solve was that problem, like we make that a plugin and use it here. But I think I misunderstood.
Yeah, the idea of this one is just be able to override the plugin, and the other one, the other pull request, the other EP enhancement proposal is to change plugins. This one is just override them. It won't matter if we do it one before the other one. If we allow to change plugins first and then we do this one, then this will have to support obviously chaining plugins. But that's this is only about the plugin resolution algorithm. The thing is that right now you are you have to select some plugins and they will be used for all your project. And the idea is to be able to override them temporarily for a single command. That's
Sure.
all that issue is saying.
Okay. For me, it's fine. I just think that we need thinking in all these concerns, like how we will track this information, how, do you know, how we will make it clear that we don't ensure the compatibility, do you know, how we don't we allow the user to do, but we are not responsible for to ensure that the plugin A works with the layout B, for example.
But that's something for discussion on plugin phase 1.5 or phase 2, not for this enhancement proposal in specific.
Yeah, I mean, if we implement this stuff, we need to track that the create API was done with the extra plugin and not
Yeah.
with the full one. The other thing is like how we will communicate to the user, like be aware, know what we are doing, because we cannot ensure it all, like something.
Yeah.
Maybe a message, maybe something, just before they know that it is like it's up to them, you know. It's like it's not We cannot ensure that cheese is compatible with cheese.
But that will be true also if you change plugins for the whole project. If you do a KubeBuilder init with 2 plugins in a chain, you will have the same issue.
Yes, exactly. We will have the same issue. I agree. So for me, this shows fine. I don't have objection. I just think that it need to be more, address these concerns. Maybe I doesn't know you create a AP as well. I doesn't know if you want to supplement that, how it will works in the detail, or if you'd like to work in a pull request and to propose the idea, the final idea. I don't know what to other things if someone has any objection at all to this. Sure. Are you okay with that, Jesus and Eric as well?
Yeah, no, that sounds like a good idea.
So I think we can put accepted, and the idea is accepted anyway. I think nobody has objections. And then we can work on and discuss in the details of the implementation.
Sounds okay.
So I will put accepted. The milestone, I think maybe next year we don't need to compromise.
Yeah, because probably as we require a config change, we will have to wait for version 4 of the config file. So it will have to go to next year.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a good point. Probably I will put here help to wanted because it's like we don't have a current issue that really requires that, but I think you're right. Maybe the best thing here, maybe we can discuss that, but maybe the best thing here, I don't know if you agree, is like we create 4.0 and you put it is there to make it clear because of the project file.
Yeah, I think that once we release 3.0 and we consider them stable, we should create both config version 4 alpha and plugin go for version 4 alpha so that the breaking changes are there. But that's after the release, so I wouldn't worry about that right now.
We can put as well. I think it has one. I'm trying to find a way for triage blockage maybe, because we cannot merge this now, we cannot do this at this moment. So we need to wait for the next.
I mean, accepted and with the next milestone should be okay for me.
Yeah, just to put maybe here something like as we discuss. So requires changing. So track it. It's a plugin. And Then the cause of this only be identified. Is it okay? This makes sense?
Yeah, sir.
Therefore, we don't forget that. Okay, so the next one, I think it's this one. You. Okay. So would you like to speak about this one? It's yours. So
Yeah, there is a corner case. Well, right now, to identify an API, we have three fields in KubeBuilder: group, version, and kind. There's nothing special about version and kind, but group in KubeBuilder, we decided to divide it in group and domain so that the user doesn't have to specify domain every time. And we allow in plugin version 3, we allow either the group or the domain to be empty. In case one of them is empty, the full group will be the other one. In case none of them are empty, they will be joined by a dot. But the thing is that there is a special case, a special group in the core types that uses a completely empty group, or in this case, group and domain, the empty string, and we don't support it right now because we require at least one of them, one of the group or the domain, to be specified. This is for the core AP core group type, group API. So basically, we need to have a default for it in the places that we need to. For example, this combination of group plus domain is used to as an import alias in some places that can't be empty or other things like that that need to be considered. And we need to allow this so that we can create, for example, controllers for pods or for namespace or for fields like that. It's not like really a high priority thing because because I think that all the core resource related controller needs to be upgraded, but it will have to be done sometime.
So just to clarify, we are saying that we can't reserve the name core for KubeBuilder's like internal mechanisms for determining if it's an internal type, or sorry, a native type to Kubernetes.
The thing is that uh, yeah, we need to specify somehow to use core, but the thing is that it won't use core. It doesn't have to use core as the group in the group version kind triplet that Kubernetes has, but it has to use core probably for as an import alias or things like that. Yeah,
yeah,
we will have
Yeah.
to reserve some word, and probably core is the one that we need to do.
yeah. My suggestion about this, my idea is like if we do something like that, create API, group core, version, the kind without domain, and we put it, don't generate the resource, because if we use it, create the resource, so I'm creating my resource, I'm not using one that is an external one. So if we put this like no for resource, create the controller, like I want to create a controller for a Kubernetes API, then, in my opinion, we could check in this list if
Yeah, probably we can take in in the list, and if it was there, accepted. The thing is that probably we have to special case that in a lot of places, because the resource as stored in the config file should not have core as the group so that it doesn't mix them, but it should have core as the group when it's passed to the templates, because we don't want the templates to scaffold APIs without any alias. So it will be a lot of special cases here and over there. It
Didn't
just needs to be
we?
done.
Wasn't there another issue open for handling external types?
There are probably several about them.
I think there was, where we were discussing like an extra flag to pass the import path for an external type. I don't think we
Yeah.
fully agreed on that, but that would more or less solve this issue, because the GVK flags we're talking about here are like, yeah, technically you could use them for an external type, but
Exactly.
they do confound that with internal types that you are going to implement. And I don't know which is the right solution, but I think just using core and having that as a reserved keyword for group is fine, and scaffolding that in the config file, the project config, and then when we read that and we see, okay, this is core, then treat it as a core group and remove the group string from GVK.
Yeah. The thing is that right now, in order to consider something as a core resource, it's pretty entangled. It's like you don't have to generate the resource, like Camila said. You have to set resource false. Then you need to be in a list of groups, and if you are in a list of groups, then you have to check something where else, and that's like pretty messy. And probably adding a flag will be cleaner from an implementation point of view, but will also
Yeah.
require an AP change, so the user will have to say that dash external. We will probably need to add it for a future use case, because right now the only external types that we are allowing at the scaffold time is core resources, but we will probably want to also accept external resources as a whole. So we will probably have to add that flag later on. So yeah, there are like upsides and downsides.
Right. So I would say, like, no, don't even worry about this dash group core edge case right now, and we should focus on solving this external type problem in the general case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I think we closed that discussion because that discussion was made in an issue that was another subject. So maybe the best case, maybe one idea of the suggestion for we moving forward is like we create one issue, support external types, and put the information. How we would like to support external type? The ideas that we had before, and we started to discuss there what is the best approach. Probably, I agree. Because if we start to do like, okay, now we allow empty group and empty domain. At the end, we can end up in one situation that we allow things that don't make sense with the goal at all, like we didn't, if we focus in the problem, what is the problem? Allow external types. Then we can provide a proper solution.
Sounds good to me.
So
So do we want to close this issue in favor of the general case solution issue for external types?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let me find that.
I think it was discussed in a issue called breaking changes for version 3 or something like that. that had like multiple discussions in the same thread, including
Yeah, I think you're
the
right.
project config files and things like that. So it is probably closed due to some pull requests that are part of it, and probably raising a new issue would be a better solution.
Yeah. Actually, we can even keep this issue open. No, it's probably better to open a new one. I can copy all of the stuff, the discussions that we had in the closed issue, and make a new one. Close this one out.
Yeah, I think that would be the best approach.
Can I close this one, or would you like it to keep this open to remember, Eric?
I think that we can close it if we support
Yeah.
completely external types. That would include this solution too.
Yeah, I'll comment with the link to the new one.
Okay. Done. I'll put a comment here for you. You know, just for you receive the notification for what is this one. So the next one. Would you like to speak about?
They are all for me today.
Yeah. This is good.
Okay.
You contribute a lot.
So I was taking the last of the really required, or one of the ones that we consider the last required pull request for version 3, that was adding the migration guide. And I discovered that if you follow the same steps that are followed to generate the test data folder for project version 2 multigroup, but using config version 3, that it's supported by the version 2 plugin, it adds everything except the webhook information. Yeah, because we are not updating the resource in the webhook Go version 2 plugin. It's a really, really small change that I already submitted a pull request, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
Yes.
it's like 4 lines of code, so I think that can be reviewed pretty easily.
I'll put, I think it is a blocker for the 3.0 unless someone.
Well, the real problem that I think that we need to solve here too is that the test data doesn't cover that case. That case being project version, plugin version 2 with config version 3 files. So I think we should probably need to add those test cases to the test data folder.
I'm not sure if I follow the last statement, because the plugin, the V2 plugin, don't you have the webhook version, and also don't you have the CRG version?
No, they do have the CRD version. You can check
Yeah,
above.
exactly. They have it, but it has only one option. It's two.
No. What I mean is that we need to. Right now, plugin version 2 supports 2 different config files, version 2 or version 3, and we have test data folders for version 2, but we don't have test data folders for plugin version 2 but config version 3. That is a supported option. So I think we should add those, but that's not a blocker for version 3.0 release.
Yeah. Now came a confusing in my mind. Just a moment. Like the CRG version and the webhook version, for we choose the Kubernetes API, is something that was introduced only for Go V3 plugin. It's not a new feature for Go V2. I'm wrong?
The second example that text, that project config file is a copy paste from the project version 3 multigroup. That's why it has the version 1. I
Okay.
didn't say that one. It should
Okay.
be, if you go a bit up, I also missed a bit lower. Yeah, it should be version 1 beta 1. If you go a bit lower to the start of the second project file, you see here that it's also says project version 3 multigroup.
Okay, okay.
I use it to copy paste, and I didn't say that I will update my issue right now.
No, no problem, no problem. Just to see if I misunderstand something, or in some moment we change something that we should not. Just to be sure. But it's fine. It's fine. For me, it's all fine. Anyone has any objection, or would you like to say something? Nope. Moving forward. The last one I created today. We need just bumping the latest release. In my point of view, this needs to be before the 3.0 release. It's something really simple. So I just create for redirect the need. I think we had a pull request on that.
Yeah,
We
Indeed.
did.
there is a pull request on this. It's actually blocked on the approval for the KubeBuilder declarative pattern bomb.
Choose one. Let's see. Okay.
Once this is merged, I can regenerate the samples in that convention.
Okay. So we need to speak with its maintainers just to merge choose one. And I'll put choose
Why
one for
is
them.
this needed for the release? That's a question. I'm not saying that we don't need it, but I would like to know why it is needed
I think
for.
it's not a blocker, as you said, in my humble opinion, it's not a blocker, but it would be desirable.
Yeah, probably because if we don't update it now, it will be a breaking change for now on. So version 3 will always have to stay on 0 or 7. But I just wanted to know if there was an special point that we wanted to address with this bump in versions.
Let's see if Varsha, when you're trying to bump it here, did you find any breaking change?
There were no breaking changes, but the dependencies, the changes in the bump of dependencies, there's no much breaking change here, which needs attention.
Okay, yeah, I cannot see. Yeah. So okay, theoretically, so far shows that we also could bump in 3.1 as well. But yeah, would
Now
be nice.
the problem bumping in 3.1 will be that projects that are scaffolded with version 3.0 will never get a bump in the control runtime version unless the user does it manually.
Yeah, the 3.0, no, just the 3.1.
Yeah.
So what do you think about we try to do in 3.0 and speak with the other maintainers? I think we can ping it then and ask for they approve that one. If it not possible, it's still not a blocker for the release, but very desirable.
Yeah, 0.8 actually has some bug fixes, so I can ping them again and ask for an approval, because once a KubeBuilder declarative pattern PR is merged, this is just regenerating of the test samples.
I cannot find you here.
Oh, it's VARES. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, you are not in the org. Would you like to take this one since you have the pull request already?
Yeah, I'll assign this to myself.
Really thank you, Varsha.
Um,
And then what do you think? We can put accept here for don't come back. And what do you think? Do you agree with putting 3.0, Adilio? Or do you
Yeah,
think
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. The only thing that I was worried is if there was some specific change that we needed to do. If it's just bumping a version, I think it will be useful to have it bump to 0.8 because that will mean that users that use 3.0 and later move to 3.1 don't have to do that manually. So that's always a plus.
Sure. I think for the release now, we just okay. We have a okay. The have the documentation, but the documentation is after the release. Actually, we have the migration doc that I really would like to ask your help, folks. We have the multi-arc, that one that Eric has a pull request already. It's not really a blocker, but we would like to achieve before. The bug that she has a pull request already, and it is one. So we are very, I hope, very close to do that. So really thank you for all collaboration. Adiro has doing a terrific work and doing a lot of changes required for we achieve this goal. So really thank you for all. Has someone who would like to say something before we finish? Or ask you something?
I'm good. Thank you, Camilla.
Really thank you, folks, for all.
Sure thing. Thanks for running the meeting.
See you the next
See ya.
one. Bye bye.